Welcome to the Unshakable Foundation meeting of Cocaine Anonymous. This is a main share meeting, and today it's with great pleasure, lots of gratitude, that I'm welcoming Kurt Zed from California. He's come to share around the topic of beyond belief, consciousness of your belief is sure to come. Kurt, thanks so much for coming, and with that, it's over to you.
Thanks, you guys, and thanks for asking me to come. You know, when they, we put a date down and said, can we have a topic? And I'm like, well, the broadest topic I could throw out there is beyond belief. That way I can go anywhere I want to and not get off track, right? So why did I pick that? Let me read something out of the book. It's a good way to start. Big book, Are We Agnostic? Well, that's exactly what the book's about. Its main object is to enable you to find a power greater than yourself, which will solve your problem. Problem is singular. It's not problems. What I found out here was all my problems were really not problems. They were symptoms of a problem. And I would say that problem was the bondage itself. And this is very stage specific when you read it, because if you come in, your problem might be drinking, might be doing cocaine. It might be not being able to stop doing it. So, it's kind of like I'm reading that thing from a different, it's stage specific, right? I mean, we realized I came in here and I like to say, thank God I'm not suffering from what's not happening anymore. I used to suffer from a lot of what's not happening, meaning I would listen to a narrative in my head and it would create a story. It was like a snowball going down a hill. It'd pick up anything that it ran over and got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Like if I lost a job, my head would say, oh, you're going to be homeless. Oh, you're not going to be able to pay your bills. Oh, she's not going to like you because you can't, pay for dinner. Whatever. It's it's a mental narrative. And it drove me. And that was the driving factor. I listened to my head. I thought. See, I didn't know thinking just kind of happens. So beyond belief is, it says came to believe in our book. And, for you guys, if you're new, look, I'm just a member. This is just my opinion. This is over. I've been around here since 1979, in and out. Had 20 years and drank. So this is just my opinion. And, but here's the best way for me to talk about something that can't be talked about. Because if I'm talking about beyond belief and you don't understand what I'm saying, I have a loss of words, because what we do here is like this. You hear that resonance? Doesn't sound like this. There's a huge difference. And what happened for me, and this was a process, it wasn't an event, it was a process. I had a lot of big events in this process of recovery. But something started to wake up. I mean, if the main problem centers in the mind, that's what the book says, then I can't fix my mind with my mind. And the whole purpose of going through the steps was to awaken something within me that I didn't even know was in me. The way it was pointed and described to in the beginning in 1986 was, it's like this. This is how it was described. It says, you were born with a jewel, like a multifaceted diamond, and everybody is born with that jewel, and it's deep within you. And as you grew up and got conditioned with belief systems and old ideas and trauma and stories and narratives in your head and what people told you and what you told you and the guilt you experienced from the stuff you did and the guilt you experienced that wasn't even your guilt that people gave you. All of that was what drove my life. That's what drove my life. So I needed to wake up to something that could really understand the condition that was driving me. So I used to think, well, it says it in our book, and it's really, it doesn't matter whether it says it. You know, we could have this intellectual knowledge, but there was a point about this where I could not, somehow I couldn't feel like I could experience this way of living. Like, why would we say a prayer, please relieve me of the bondage of self, if I could not be relieved of the bondage of self? I mean, you got to ask the question. See, what I was identified with is, I was identified as the condition that was driving me. I was identified as the self. It's a narrative. It's like this. It's really funny because I think the book says it really well. It says, our actor is self-centered. Well, you know what the good news is? You're not the actor. We're our actor, not my actor, our actor. One condition manifesting in various ways is what defeats us. I'm looking at 77 various ways in little boxes on the screen. One condition driving everybody. It says it in our book. I didn't hear it for 25 years. Being convinced that self, singular, manifest in various ways is what defeated us. See, my problem was I was identified as the self. It's not me. Prince said it a long time ago to me. He said, listen, Kurt, you're very special. I want you to know that. You're just not extra special. See? We're all very special in a very sacred way, but we're not extra special. So beyond belief, to put it in language, is a revelatory experience that takes me out of the belief system. A belief system is just a thought. The only reason I'm trying to believe something is because I do not believe it. Let me say that again. The only reason I'm trying to believe something is because I do not believe it. Once I know it, I'll believe it in a completely different way. So people would say this is gnosis. People would say this is the awakening. People would say the big book says you entered the world of the spirit. What does it look like? Read the promises. It describes, it's very descriptive of what it looks like to be consciously aware that you're in the world of the spirit. We can look the world in the eyes. We can be alone at perfect peace and ease. Our fears fall from us. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So it's very descriptive. I remember hearing this, the promises are not a carrot on a string being dangled out in front of us. The promises are the result of conditions that are met. And the conditions that are met as we go through the steps. It says we come to this realization, this unsuspected inner resource. Well, when I came to that unsuspected inner resource, I realized why it was unsuspected. I could have never found it. I could have never found it because I kept looking outside of me. I kept looking at belief systems, which is a great place to start. I'm not knocking that, but it's like A friend of mine says it like this: came to believe. He said, we came to meetings. We came to, meaning I detoxed. And then I came to believe because I listened to you guys. I could hear you guys. You guys were saying something that resonated on a different level than what I was listening to hearing. Because what I was listening to hearing was guilt, shame, remorse, self-pity. You screwed up. Why are you like this? All this misinformation about what I suffered from. So it's really interesting when I say came to believe. I'm going to say it like this. Came to believe would be, for me, it's faith. And Al's familiar with this. And I'm not saying faith in something. I'm saying faith, a dependence upon something. Our big book talks about it. It says, without knowing it, we've been brought here by a certain kind of faith. And the faith is, there's got a reason. I listen to my thinking. And the reason, it wasn't fault, it wasn't a mistake, it wasn't that I screwed up, it wasn't that I didn't learn. It's the only paradigm I knew how to function in. I did not know there was another paradigm. All I knew was my head. That's all I knew. So this sixth sense that they talk about in the book, when you start to wake up to this, you can't describe that. You can throw things at it. It's like somebody added a color to the color spectrum, and it was never there before. And all of a sudden I saw it. I was like, oh my God, I never saw that before. You can point to it, But part of what I've really found over the years, part of this is, or most of it, is letting the air out of the balloon, getting rid of the old ideas, seeing what it is not. See, and that's exactly how I was taken through the book in '86. We were to discover the obstacles in our path. We were to clear away the things that were blocking us. It was looking at third column. Third column is not me. I'm not writing inventory about me. I'm writing inventory about the condition that's driving me. Let me make that clear. I'm not writing inventory about me. I'm writing inventory about the condition that's driving me. I used to think I identified with you at the podium. I do identify with you at a very deep level. But I thought I identified with you when I was really identifying with the condition you were talking about that was driving you. Very different. And when I saw that I wasn't that condition, the possibility to be free from that condition became available that instant. That happened 13 years ago. And there's only two people that have put language to that experience for me. And that's what happens here. We come in here, we can't. The big book says it like this. I love it. It says it's as much a fact as we are. That's not a belief system. It's as much a fact. I don't believe my arm's attached to my body. I know it is. So this is what, I think this whole thing's about, is waking up to this thing. It's to die. Somebody said it's to die before you die. So when you die, you find out you don't die. It's kind of like that. Another guy said, he was a medicine man. And he said it like, there are many kinds of death besides physical death. When you can allow a part of yourself to die that doesn't serve you any longer, you can be reborn into a new and better way of living. This is what happens to us here. Somebody had brought it up last night about if this self is all inclusive, if it's all inclusive, then self has got to be part of that. And they said, but it's trying to kill me. And I said, well, I don't think that's the case. what I think it's doing is it's playing its part in the surrendering process. The Buddhists say no mud, no lotus. And most of us that come in here, the book says we got to be pretty badly mangled, you know. I had to be, what do you say, tenderized. I'm a knucklehead. I had to be tenderized. I'm a successful failure here. So that's the deal. We wake up in the morning and we go, God, direct my thinking. Divorce from self-pity, dishonest, self-seeking motives. Why? Well, because I'm always in the past. I'm always in the future. I'm never in the present. If I am, I'm looking through rose-colored glasses. So, I mean, that's basically what I'm asking when I say that. I say, I'm asking for my thinking to be directed. Most of the time it already is so I'll just say thank you for directing my thinking. It didn't start that way, but that's how it is now. And I ask it for be divorced from self-pity. That's the past. Dishonest. That means I don't see with clarity or any lucidity in the present moment if I'm looking through an ego lens or through self. And self-seeking is the future. And what I'm asking for is my thought life to be on a higher plane. Well, when I ask for those things, my thought life's on a higher plane. And where does that put me? Right where I'm sitting. I'm present. My thought life is on a higher plane when I'm present. And this is the daily reprieve that I have. I did not have this. First 20 years, I had too many years, not enough days. And it was a blessing, a complete blessing that I drank again. Because it surrendered me in a way that I'd never been surrendered before. And it's been a complete gift. It's been a complete reconstruction that we all go through here. Sometimes, they say it's William James says varieties of religious experience. It's educational, right? Even if it is a big pop, you got to unpack it for the rest of your life. It's pretty much all educational because I've had big pops and man, I had to unpack them. Man, sometimes they're worse than the educational. So, I think that this was one of the most important things here. One of the most important things that the menu produced. The menu is not the meal. The 12 steps are not the meal. They're the menu. The biggest thing that those 12 steps have produced as a way of living is what it promises, that you come across this unsuspected inner resource, that you are a divine expression of this will, that this will is being done. They call it in a native teaching that I was brought up with. They say your original medicine, Rick's original medicine, Sue's original medicine, Dominic original medicine. You're a divine manifestation of this will, and so is everything else. They're all my relatives. The two-legged, the four-legged, the winged ones, the creepy crawlers, the fish. They're all expressions of that will in different manifestations. I used to laugh at this before I knew what any of these teachings meant. And it was only through the 12 steps that revealed the teachings. When they'd bring the rocks into the sweat lodge and they go, "Welcome, Stone Brothers." And I'd look at the guy next to me and go, "They're talking to the rocks. What are they talking to the rocks for?" Like I totally didn't get it. They recognize that that's a manifestation of God's will as a rock. That's a sacred thing just as much as I'm sacred. And they're welcoming that. They're acknowledging the presence within everything. There's a guy, Ramana Maharshi, he was asked one time, he said, How do we treat others? His answer was pretty unbelievable. He said, there are no others. I think that's what we find here. That's what we find when we work with a new guy, right? You know, a couple of my friends say, we don't work with new guys, we work with the disease that's taken over new guys. And we try to get to the person that's underneath, or the being. So, I don't know, how much time did I have? Rachel, are you doing this, or am I?
20 minutes, Kurt.
How much?
20.
I got 20 more minutes? All right, well, okay, we'll go into this then. So let me tell you one of the first revelatory experiences that I had when I came to AA. I came in 1979. I was not an alcoholic. I was 22 years old, and the courts disagreed with me. They thought I was an alcoholic. They stipulated me to Alcoholics Anonymous, and I guess because I robbed a guy after the bars closed, and I got a 6-pack of beer, and you know, plus 25 arrests before I was 25 years old. You know, accumulated things had to do with alcohol and disorderly conduct. But I got to AA, and when I came to AA, well, really, I came to PADAP first. If any of you guys know what PADAP is, it kind of dates me. Palmer Drug Abuse was an offshoot of Alcoholics Anonymous, and that's what I love about what you guys read in the beginning of the meeting. I love that when you guys read that in CA. But what happened was I got stipulated, you know, and I thought when they sent me here, I thought I had no idea what I was up against. I had no idea. I thought you guys were going to give me some information about how to manage and control me not picking up again. Now listen to what I just said. I thought you were going to give me information on how to manage and control a condition that I'm powerless over. That's what I thought. That's what I heard. I had no experience. That's the only experience I had. I was a victim of a delusion that I could wrest satisfaction out of this world if I managed well. That was what I was. I was a victim of that delusion. I had no experience with another element of this program that wasn't accessible to me till I woke up. And what that element was, you could be released from this condition so you don't have to manage it. Big difference. You could be released from the condition. Talks about it in the 10-step. The same thing's true with the condition of self. Same thing's true with living without fear. You know, when we get into fear, we're really getting into a narrative, a mental narrative, not fear. Fear is the highest intelligence of a human being. It takes no thought. If I step in front of a bus, he honks his horn, I jump out of the way before thought. Thank God, because if I had to wait for my thinking, I'd be run over. It's a fight or flight response. When we talk about fear here, we're talking about psychological fear. Mental anxiety created by a narrative that's not happening. See, so I needed to look at this stuff. I needed to write inventory. I needed to see a lot of what I had was based on belief systems, not direct. I had an idea of what life was about. I didn't know what life was about. It's so rich. A friend of mine said, you need to make your gratitude list to another friend. And the friend said, do you know why you have to make a gratitude list? And the guy goes, no. And he goes, because you're not grateful. At a certain point, that gratitude is a natural, inherent effect of waking up. There's a sacredness to life. There's a sacredness to people. There's a sacredness to everything. And we have a daily reprieve with that. It's not intellectual. Like I said, it's not, it's like we can have this intellectually, but somehow we're incapable of really believing we can embody these principles. But we can't. We all do it at different degrees. We just do it at different degrees. That's all. It's a tremendous gift. I mean, just the look at the steps. Just what we go through with the steps. Most people aren't asking these questions. They're walking down the street talking about their 401k or what color they like their car. They're not asking these deeper questions. He's as much a fact as we were. We found the great reality deep down within us. In the last analysis, it's only there that he may be found. It was so with us. We can only clear the ground a bit if our testimony helps sweep away prejudice, enables you to think honestly. I think they're implying that we're not thinking honestly. Then, if you wish, encourages you to search diligently within yourself. If you wish, you can join us on this broad highway with this attitude. You cannot fail. The consciousness of your belief is sure to come to you. In the back of the book, Spiritual Experience says this awareness is the essence of a spiritual experience, and more religious members call it God consciousness. This awareness. Other people say it. What you're looking for, you're looking with. I have a friend, Mary Thayer, says, you're the fish you got to catch. It's that thing of big fish in the water and little fish in the water, and the big fish swims by and asks the little fish, how's the water? And the little fish go, what water? See? We are in the midst of it. It is in the midst of us. It beats in our very blood, whether we want it to or not. It's a quote from Thomas Merton. It's all I ever wanted. It's why I drank. I wanted to feel and know in the deepest part of my being that everything's okay. All is well. I'd quote DeMello and say, everything's a mess. All is well, but everything's a mess. It's a strange paradox, isn't it? Some of these, it's funny because I didn't know. Can I read something that's not AA? Just a short thing? Yeah, is that all right? You guys have probably heard me read this. Some of you guys. Sorry, I got a bad lung infection. I'm trying to not go off coughing. All right, here we go. When surrender is a tactic, it's just another means of control, another effort to impose your will on your disease. Surrender is beyond your power. If it weren't, you would have no need of a higher power. The genius of 12-step spirituality isn't that it teaches you to surrender, but that it exhausts you in the effort to surrender so that you last surrendering and find yourself surrendered. Big difference. Surrendering takes a long time. Being surrendered happens in an instant. So how do we maintain that? that's what I think my whole program is about, this way of living. We integrate these principles in a way of living, and that's how we live our life. It was that, I 20 years sober, man. I was yelling at the guys at the supply house. I was angry at the wife. I was kicking the dog. I was 20 years sober, 19 years sober. I was driven by fear, by anxiety, mental anxiety. And I'd worked the steps. I'd crossed the T's, dotted the I's, but I missed a crucial part of the program. And it says what we really have is a daily reprieve. Emphasis is on really. I could say, how many people in here got 20 years? A bunch of people raise their hand. How many people got 10 years? Raise their hand. But if I said, how many people in here are sober right now? Everybody raise their hand, or most everybody. There would be no separateness. There would be inclusiveness. And I know what that looks like. At 19 years, I looked down my nose at somebody with 6 months and said, if you just work the steps right, you'd be okay. I had that arrogance. So, Sabina, good to see you, Sabina. Yeah, it's a gift. It's a tremendous gift. God was an anthropomorphic being in the clouds when I started. That's how I was raised. I was raised in a church, and I didn't make any sense to me. But what made sense to me was parts of the book where he said, the significance of Winchester Cathedral burst upon me. My grandfather's good-natured contempt of those preachers, and how I must listen. He said the spheres had their music. See, I heard that. That had a resonance to it. It wasn't a belief system. Moments of awe and wonder, starlit night. See, these were all easy, simple ways I could step into this without the trappings of religion. But then later to come back to the trappings of religion and see where religious people are right. Not that they're right, where they're right. Where each philosophical, religious, perennial wisdom talks about that resonance. And when I started doing that in the program, the picture widened. I wasn't just going to one church service a week. I was kind of going out and trying to find out what's going on. Science, all of it. They're talking about the same thing from two different ends. Steel girder in the big book. They're saying, oh, you mean you could even put quantum mechanics into the steel girder. They're saying, look, it ain't a steel girder, it's atoms, right? Whirling around these things. And you go, well, that's Maya. It's just not that it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist the way you think it doesn't exist. See, that's all they're saying. They said that 80 years ago. I mean, they've been saying it for 5,000 years, but really, what we see, right, is a construct through five senses. And when that sixth sense opens up, I'm going to quote the book, a whole new world comes into view. I think I'll end with that.
Next up, JR. Come on in with your question, my friend.
JR, and I am an addict. And I got to thank my my birdie for sending me the flyer to this meeting. And I got to thank this group for allowing me to hear Kurt. And Kurt, I always love asking this question, being fairly new to this program and this process, since you had the belief topic. How has your concept of your higher power evolved over the years, and why?
Well, why I would say it's because it's a natural thing. And how it's done it was, basically the same way, like my concept of AA has evolved. My concept of the condition of self has evolved. You know, I mean, the difference, like I said, you know, when I say anthropomorphic, I think most of you know what I mean, right? I mean, we create God in our image, right? So my sponsor used to say, you tell me what you think about God and I'll tell you what you think about yourself. And when Don Coyce would say that to me, I didn't have a clue what he was talking about, but I do now. And it's funny because when it started as anthropomorphic, I think it has to. It has to start from belief systems. You know, it has to start from, it's just a process of learning. I had to learn what numbers were before I could do math. It was the same process. He said it to me like this. I've had some revelatory events that freed me. But he said, remember, these revelatory events are happening in a process. Life is a process. You're going to have some unbelievable revelatory events. When you get stuck on those, you're going to get in trouble. You're going to get locked in. So in the back of the book, it talks about it. It says there is a principle which is contempt prior to investigation, right? There's a principle. It's like, that's the big deal. I mean, that was friggin' huge. The bar against all information cannot fail to keep man in everlasting. That's contempt prior to investigation. Oh, I'm not reading that book. Oh, I'm not doing that. See, that's all contempt. You know, book says it in one of the promises. It says it like this. It provides what you need if you keep close to it. Well, if that's true, I need to pay attention. And not with the 5 senses, but also the 6th sense. Pay attention. That doesn't mean think more. Yeah, okay. I hope that was good.
Thank you. Thanks for your question, JR. Next up, Jack, please come on in with your question for Kurt.
Yeah, gladly. Thank you very much. Really enjoyed hearing a lot of that, and I took a lot of that on board. Probably not as much as I should have done, but it definitely did a lot of my life at the moment. But what I wanted to ask is a little twofold. I don't know if I'm able to have a twofold question. You mentioned going out, so my question was effectively, sorry if you covered it. I thought I was paying attention. So, but my question is around going out and coming back in. Effectively, you said you went out, and I would like to ask, what had you stopped doing, and then what do you do today? What do you try to do today, which is different? If I may ask that, thank you.
Well, let me say it this way. So going out was not the relapse. It was proof of the relapse. The relapse happened before I drank. The relapse happens in a sober state of mind. It precedes the first drink or drug. So I'll say the relapse drinking was proof of the relapse, which was not accessible to me because I was so locked into self. So that would be, and what I was doing was, I was using this like a college course rather than an integrated way of living. If I cross the T's and dot the I's and write the right inventory and work with the right sponsors and do all this stuff, I'll arrive. And I needed to do all that to see that it wasn't it. I needed to drink all that I drank to see that it wasn't it. It mimicked the spiritual experience. That's why spirit is contra spiritum. That's what Jung said, right? Highest depraving poison for the highest religious experience. Irritable, restless, and discontent. That's how I was sober 19 years. It's really simple. You can just ask yourself, are you dominated by fear? Are you listening to a narrative in your head you believe? You have a sense of guilt and shame. When this became a fact, like the book said, the existential crisis of unworthiness dropped because the effect of that awakening connects you with everything. And you know it. You know it. And I don't mean intellectually. Language of the heart, right, Jack?
Lovely. Thank you. Thanks for your question, Jack. Next on up, Louise, please come on in with your question.
Hi, yeah, thanks. My name's Louise. I'm an addict. Thank you so much for your share, Kurt. And what I liked, what you said, one of the main things that stood out for me was the part you said when you're sponsoring somebody working with the disease and you're trying to get them to the person that they are. My question is, so when you are working with somebody who is so disease and they get to a step 4, the disease gets stronger. And I've got a sponsee at the moment who's just completely shut down and avoiding. Hasn't picked up yet. How suggest that I could be of maximum service to help her?
Well, I think the most important thing is to see the problem clearly. And I mean, that's kind of where she's delving into that. But, you know, this is a big thing in another meeting we focus on. See, being convinced itself manifested in various ways of what defeated us. We considered its common manifestations, not my manifestations, self's manifestations. There needs to be some separation. Because if there isn't, the guilt, the shame, the remorse, you'll drink. I've watched people drink in inventory. Because the guilt, the remorse, because the persona can't handle it. That's why I needed the first 3 steps before I delved into, you know, it says made a decision. Well, obviously, you can't turn your will in life over if you don't have your will in life. All you can do is make a decision, because that's what you see. You've been driven up to this point by the condition of self. That's why I drank. I tried to get rid of that. I tried to kill myself 3 times. The problem was I was trying to kill the wrong self, and I didn't know it. Didn't know it. So I think just, you know, if I have somebody stuck in inventory, my sponsor said, you don't have people stuck in inventory. You have people stuck back up, back up, back up. Because the first step opens the door to the second step. Second step opens the door to the third step. Third step opens the door to the fourth step. I've had people go out while we were in the first 43 pages of the book, or I take that back. A person I sponsored had somebody go out. And what she said was, she goes, what do you think I did wrong? And I was like, you didn't do anything wrong. It says in the book, you're in the first step process. You're trying to see the truth of your condition, right? Well, the book says you might be worth a bad case of the jitters. You get a full knowledge of your condition. That's what happened. Now, how's that failure? See, our mental interpretations, we're not seeing with a clear picture. We're seeing right, wrong, good, bad. We need the whole picture. Did that help?
Thank you. Thanks for your question, Louise. We've got a few hands up. We might go over time. Is that all right, Kurt? Do you mind if you answer? Lovely, lovely, lovely. Next up, Al. Come in, Al.
Hey, thanks a lot. Alan, alcoholic, Cocaine Anonymous, saved my life, and for that I'm truly grateful. I don't know how lucky I had to get to be excited about inviting a dozen people to a meeting in the middle of the day. You know, I don't come to hear work the steps or die, mofo. I come to hear my friends pitch, because I know I get excited when they tell their story and they give a pitch at a talk at a meeting. You know, excited enough to, like I say, invite a couple of dozen, and half of them show up, and I run into another dozen here that I know, because how did I get this lucky? This is a rhetorical question, Kurt. I'll let you answer it at the end if you want. How did I get this lucky? I surrendered to the inevitable force of the universe that was tractor beaming my ass in here, and I fought tooth and nail for so long, and I finally said, all right, this seems to be where I'm supposed to be. And once I really accepted that to my innermost self, I'll start crying. I'll just cry right now. My voice is already cracked. Stop fighting this fucking thing. You ain't won yet. You ain't gonna win. If you're a real one, the game is up. The dance card is full. And it has nothing to do with drugs and alcohol. That's just a symptom. How lucky did I get? Undeserved grace. What is it? Undeserved reward, grace? What's the definition? I'll look it up afterward. How lucky. I accepted what the universe wanted from me, and I stopped fighting everything and everyone. And there's a lot of heavy hitters in the room. There's a good handful of heavy hitters. Well, you're all heavy hitters. I'm still letting go of lifelong, conceptions. I heard a voice in the background, so I'll stop blowing smoke. Enjoy your destiny, people. Don't fight it.
You, Al. Good to see you. Good to see you. Kyra, come on in. What's your question for Kurt?
Hi, it's Sierra. First, I want to say thank you for your share. And God, my higher power always puts me right where I need to be. So all week I kept hearing CA. I'm like, what is CA? What is CA? And I didn't know this was a CA meeting, but Lord knows I'm an alcoholic, but I definitely used a lot of cocaine while I was there. So thankful to be here. So my question is, how can you be quick to see where religious people are right without getting so sucked up in who it is saying it, like without killing the messenger and just trying to listen to the message? That's my question.
That's a great question. So this goes back to that resonance. This isn't a distinguishing factor like right or wrong. This is a resonance. So when you hear stuff like you hear let's say the prodigal son, right? You hear a metaphor or a story like that. There's something in you that understands something underneath the story. There's a story that's being written about that story. And it starts to resonate with you. You start to hear it. And you realize that prodigal son is you or daughter. And so you don't have a physical ear to listen with. You have a spiritual ear to listen with. So it says we grow in effectiveness and understanding. So it says, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact. That means we got one. So I can't improve something I don't have. So that's the prejudice. There's a lot of stuff I totally disagree with in the wisdom traditions and the perennial philosophies. But there's a lot of things that have the same resonance. And we borrowed most of this from medical, social, psychology, and spiritual, and religion. That's what AA is made up of. It doesn't bother me anymore. And this is just my thing. I still have a twinge with the Christian thing, and I can tell you why. Because every time it's languaged, it makes it sound like God's out there. Now, I know God's out there, or I'm in God, or however you want to say it. See, the language can't capture it. But if there's only one thing going on, meaning this will, then we're all expressions of it. And I get that sense when I go into nature. I get that sense when I experience love. I get that sense when I see beauty. I get that sense. See, it's a sense. It's a felt sense. And some of the guys I hear, like I listen to, different people, Rupert Spira, Richard Rohr, Adishante. I listen to all these different guys. They're all different wisdom traditions, Buddhist, Christian mysticism. And they're all saying the same damn thing as far as I'm concerned. And so is science. I mean, science is really, we said it in the book, right? Steel girder, right? We started. I hope that's answered you.
Great question. Thank you. Thank you so much. Good to have you with us. Next up, Paula G. Come on in, Paula.
Hi, everyone. I'm an addict named Paula. Thank you, guys, for putting on the meeting. Thank you, Kurt, for your amazing share. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Thank you so much. My question is this. You read that beautiful quotation on surrender. What is the name of the book and its author, please?
It's called Surrendered, the Sacred Art, Shattering the Illusion of Control and Falling into the Grace of 12-Step Spirituality. And it's written by a guy named Rami Shapiro. It's a good book. It's another one of the books that says be quick to see where religious people are right. There's one of them. Right? Here's another one, Richard Rohr. Right? Now, that doesn't, some people go, oh, it's going to take away from, no, it expanded what Bill was saying. It expanded on what Chuck C was saying. It expanded on what William James was saying. It expanded on what Dr. Bob was saying. Shoemaker. It expanded on Parkhurst. It expanded on all these different things. And you start to see a bigger picture than the little 2 pages in Bill's story. You see a wider picture.
Yeah. Lovely. Thank you. And lastly, Marilyn, come on in.
Thank you so much, Young. My name is Marilyn. I am an alcoholic, and thank you so much, Kurt, for your share. Spirit led me here, and man, I'm amazed. Like Al said, how did I get so lucky? And I have a question, but I just have to share this experience because I was in another meeting, and something kept saying to me, "You have somewhere else to be at 1:00. I'm on the West Coast." And I kept, well, where? So then I just started going through my phone where I have lists of meetings. And then here was this meeting. And I said, I'm supposed to be here. I've never been here, Young. I will be back. And because you were here, right? And I already have some of your recordings from the 11th step meeting that I study because there's so much in them. But my question to you is because you talk about relapse being a blessing, right? And I too had this experience that you helped me through those recordings understand what happened, when I took that drink, and the grace of God brought me back. I'm getting a lot of people who've had this experience come to me now to help me work with them, right? And so you say that it's a blessing, and I kind of see it that way too. I mean, I'm recognizing it was my spirituality, I think, the reason that I went out in the first place, like you said, is before I take the drink. But for you, and helping me so that I can help these women that are coming to me, you said that it was a blessing because, but I didn't get the next part that you said. I want you, if you can expound just a little bit on that to help me understand so that I can share that with these people.
Well, the blessing, this is hard to explain, but the blessing was, I needed to do all the stuff I did at 19 years. I needed to manage and control my life with spiritual principles and see the failure in that. Let me say it again. I needed to manage and control my life with spiritual principles. Really, I was not controlling my life with spiritual principles. What I was doing was I was controlling my life with my ego's interpretation of spiritual principles. Those are very different than spiritual principles. The importance of gaining access to reveals that. And what it did was, like you, and all of us here, we just have a specific gift in that area. We all have experiences. We're wounded healers, as Nolan said. We're wounded healers. And that's when you come back, you know, you go out into the forest and you come back to the community, you know, metaphorically. Because the awakening, the effect of the awakening is the expression, the manifestation. It needs to come, create, get in the world. It needs to, express itself. And so we get the chance to do that in meetings and with new people. Some people are poets. Some people are musicians. Some people, the resonance comes through their expression. And the resonance comes through our expression because, you know, Don Coyce is the one that said it to me. He said, when you went out, he said, were you serious when you took the third step in 1986? I said, hell yeah, I was serious. He said, then I'm going to tell you something, you're not going to understand it. All of this is part of that decision. All the drinking, all that. Because all it was we do it every day. I just went way off course, right? We all go off course a little bit every day. That's a corrective measure. We ask for a corrective measure. We make a mistake. We ask for a corrective measure. We make amends. We correct it. And we move on. Next. It's how we grow. We learn from our mistake in our thinking. Because our thinking is the problem. And I'll say this, Marilyn, just to clarify. The other thing that happened when I got released and woke up from drinking again was I realized I wasn't spiritually sick. I had a mental condition that told me I was spiritually sick. The spirit, there's nothing wrong with spirit. Never been anything wrong with spirit. So it's languaged a certain way. But I don't believe that. I believe that, and it's not even a belief. That's the knowing of that non-separateness that we all are connected. Yeah.